Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Pereira. Well, hundreds of farmers have decided to sit on an indefinite strike in Rajasthan's Pratapgarh district from next week, the third BJP-ruled state after Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh to be rocked by crop protests. Farmers under the banner of Kisan Sangharsh Samiti have given a week-long ultimatum to the state government to meet their demands of better crop prices, agricultural pensions and loan waivers. Local farm leaders under the banner of Bharatiya Kisan Sangh say that the protests are a spillover of similar demonstrations in neighbouring Madhya Pradesh, where anger is mounting following the death of 5 farmers in police firing on Tuesday. The snowballing farm protests are a challenge for the BJP and especially Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has made the sector a focus and promised to double agricultural incomes by 2022. Angry farmers from food bowl states say that they cannot afford to sell produce at below par prices and want the administration to create a safety net. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze why the farmers are agitated. Joining me on the program today are Krishnabir Chowdhury, President Krishak Samaj, Tajamul Haq, former Chairman, Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices, Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, Senior Associate Editor, Frontline, and Ravi Srivastava, Professor, School of Social Sciences, JNU. Professor, I'd like to begin the show with you. What is agitating the farmers in these states? Why are the farmers so agitated right now?
Well, just to put it in proper context, we've had elements of an agrarian crisis now for about 20 years, 1997 to 2006-17. One big indicator of this is the farmer suicides. And if you break this up into periods when agriculture has been doing well and when agriculture has not been doing well, there has been a persistence of both agrarian distress and suicides through both these periods, which means that the farmer doesn't do well even when agriculture does well. In the present instance, Professor Huq's successor at the Commission of Agricultural Costs and Prices has been talking about Madhya Pradesh, the fact that Madhya Pradesh agriculture has done extraordinarily well over the last decade. And here we have the farmers who have obviously not been doing well. We have the case of Maharashtra. And again, if you look at the last 3 seasons, for example, last year, just a year ago, we were debating the drought here. Even though the drought, we as consumers were paying very high prices. Value realization for the farmers were very, very poor. Then Rabi and Kharif, 2 successive crops were good crops, and yet the value realization for farmers was very, very poor, has been very, very poor this season for specific crops, and that is the genesis of this whole problem.
Right.
So, on the one hand, agriculture is becoming a costlier enterprise. In order to meet the cost of agriculture, farmers are having to incur debts, and both in good seasons and in bad, the farmers are not being able to get adequate prices for their product, and this is resulting in continuing distress. And this has been mapped by 2 national sample surveys, the Farmers Commission, and a whole lot of other reports.
Right.
So, this is the time when rhetoric actually must cease, and we must recognize the reality of farmers, and not get wrapped up in emblematic issues of how agriculture is doing.
Fair enough. What are the demands really as far as the farmers are concerned, Mr. Krishnabir Chowdhury? What are the demands of the farmers right now?
The main demand of the farmers is that they are not getting the proper price of their produce. This is the main problem. After implementation of the liberalization policies, farmers are the worst sufferer in this country. It's an open fact that they are not getting even the cost of production value. I have one question for those experts in the country who advise and suggest to farming community through their government policies that farmers should grow the fruit and vegetables in this country. And what's happening now? Where is the market of fruit and vegetable for farming community? Where we have no cold storage in the rural area. We have no agro processing units, especially in rural area. It's only we discuss about the food parks, large industries, and especially for big corporates, not for the general farming community. Even the cost of production is increasing day by day by the corporate agriculture model is the main cause for the debt in agriculture sector. The cost of production is increasing, the seed cost, the input cost, the irrigation cost, the fertilization cost, all have increased, and the productivity have not increased, and the market, farmer had no role in market. Farmer has no relation directly with consumers. And now come to the question of the Maharashtra and the Madhya Pradesh. It starts from last 6 days. First, if discuss about the Maharashtra especially, the Vidarbha and Marathwada, both are suffering from the drought. But why agitation starts from an economically sound area? Why they have stopped the tanker of the Amul? Who stopped that? Farmers supplied their milk to the Amul Cooperative Society, the other cooperative society. The collection was done in a proper way, and it was on the road. The tanker stopped and opened the outlet. Secondly, because it's not a question of today. In the old, very many years, sometime farmer throw onion in Lasalgaon and Nasik area, sometimes in Madhya Pradesh, they thrown the tomato price. When the cost of production of the vegetables, especially in all general vegetables, from onion to tomato, from all produce is for farmers, they are getting even from 2 rupees to 4 rupees per kg. Farmers are getting. And when it goes to the consumer, within few hours, it comes up to 20 rupees. I mean minimum 5 times. Who decide this market? Who are the forces who are getting this huge benefit on the agriculture produce? Come to the mandi system. Farmer come, their produce, he put in the mandi. Now it goes freehand from farmer side, and it depends upon the traders. The small traders, the large traders, the corporate traders. It's a completely captured. The government should change the complete system. जब तक किसानों का उपभोक्ता से सीधे संबंध बनाने की योजनाओं पर सरकार काम नहीं करेगी, जब तक बिचौली और कारपोरेट के हवाले एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस को रखेगा. अभी दाल का देखिए, आपने इंपोर्ट पहले किया, आज दाल की स्थिति ये है कि जो दाल 45 रुपए होलसेल में बिक रहा था, आज वो 3200-3500 रुपए पे आ गया. जई का रेट देखिए, मैं आज ही की बात कर रहा हूं, जो 2500 रुपए एक महीने पहले था, आज 1500 रुपए आ गया. कहां जाके मरे किसान? उसकी लागत बढ़ रही है. मैं आपसे हिंदी में इसलिए बात कर रहा हूं कि उत्तरी भारत के किसानों ने बराबर पिछले 3 दिन से मेरे संपर्क में है. महाराष्ट्र में बात कर रहा हूं, बराबर क्या करें क्या. हमारे सामने सवाल उठता है कि क्या मैं भी समाज के संगठन के कार्यकर्ता के नाते मुझसे भी ये सवाल उठ रहा है, क्या इस देश के अन्नदाता ये डिस्ट्रक्टिव तोड़ फोड़ आग लगाने भागे? नहीं, ये पूरी तरह से शुद्ध रूप से राजनीतिक किया गया और किसानों की समस्या के समाधान के बजाय उसमें राजनीति कर दी गई, उसमें दंगाई घुस गई. ये सारा पॉलिटिकल खेल है. मैं बहुत स्पष्ट कर रहा हूं. रतलाम में जो कुछ हुआ वो ठाकरे जिम्मेदार है, जो कांग्रेस का खुला लीडर है. ये सब शर्म. अन्नदाता कभी हत्यारा नहीं हो सकता.
We've still got another 25 minutes on the program. I'm going to come back to you. Let the others also make their point. You know, Professor Haq, you're smiling right now, but let's go back to a point that Professor Ravi Srivastava was making. You know, he was talking about how the Madhya Pradesh agriculture model was looked at as a success model by the BJP and the central government and everyone else. And the central government even said that this model should be applied elsewhere in the country. And today we are in the situation where the Madhya Pradesh farmers are coming out and protesting. So something clearly has gone wrong.
You are right, but again, as Professor Ravi Srivastava said, that even though the agricultural growth rate in the past few years in Madhya Pradesh has been quite impressive, I should say, and everybody quotes it, but the condition of the farmers remain the same. Growth that way does not reflect the reality. This is one. Secondly, partly because what has happened is, I will not go into those details. I have several other things also to say, but it is very difficult for me also, being a part of the government. I have a limitation. But there are problems even with the data. Second thing is, in the case of Madhya Pradesh, their base was very low, and even though the growth rate is high, the level of income that you see from the NSSO data, I think clearly shows that their average income level is very low, and that cannot sustain them even to meet their consumption needs, not to speak of save and invest in agriculture and all that. So that issue is there. So in fact, in the most cases in agriculture, majority of the farmers in low level equilibrium trap, they cannot come out of the debt trap as on today, for rising cost of production, for not only rising, fluctuations in the prices also in the market. Today what has happened? This year the production of potato and tomato was higher by about only 1%. And you see the crash in their prices. Potato you get in Noida or Delhi just for 5-6 rupees a kilo. How much the farmers get? 1 to 2 rupees a kilo. Their cost of production also is not covered. So what do? They are in distress. Even in a good year, bumper crop year, the farmers are in distress. And in years when there was negative growth, like 2014 and 15 with heavy draws all over the country, 2015-16 was equally bad, like the growth, average growth was 0.7 or 0.8%. And there was a real distress years, in the sense farmers are in distress. They are very, because what happens, even if there is a drought in 1 year, that takes at least 4 to 5 years for the farmers, if there is a normal year, to recover. And
Yes.
so that has not happened so far. So you can see that there is a real problems with the farmers facing this kind of distressing situation. And profitability rate is declining. Everybody knows about it. You get to see this in BJP manifesto, you get to see this in Congress manifesto, in the manifesto of all political parties. But then when it comes to doing something concrete, where this present government, I am a part of the government, I am telling you, they have taken up some policy initiatives to correct things. There is no doubt about it. Like you mentioned, the Prime Minister himself says we will double the income of
by
the farmers
2022.
by 2022. Plus, he is also talking of expanding the irrigation facilities, Pradhan Mantri Kisi Sinchai Yojana. Then under this kind of drought and floods, for this or hailstorm or things like that, you have a Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. And I'll tell you again in this context, you have not yet gone to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu farmers are agitating for
Yes.
several months, and nothing has happened to them. And Tamil Nadu suffered a serious drought consecutively for the last 3 years.
Yes.
And so far they have not got anything. So far they have not got anything. So what I am saying, there are real problems of sensitivity at various levels, and Tamil Nadu has not even adopted Fasal Bima Yojana so far. All other states, other than Punjab and some few union territories and Tamil Nadu, they have not so far gone for implementing agricultural insurance policies.
Right.
So despite the fact that there is a problem there. So what I am saying, the sensitivity on the part of the central government, sensitivity on the part of the state government has to be much more. This is a very serious issue. If they are talking of transformation, agriculture transformation or economic transformation, you need to have an integrated support system.
Fair enough.
Without that, these farmers will continue to be in debt traps.
An integrated system and sensitivity towards the
Sensitivity.
farmers' needs is something that needs to be looked at, is what you're saying. Those are very valid points that you've made. Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, let me bring you into the picture now. You know, the BJP has been talking about, like Mr. Haq himself just said, you know, doubling the farmers' income by 2022. You know, several schemes that the government, central government, has come up with. The central government wants to, you know, shed this tag of being called an anti-farmer government. Has that happened, or do you believe that the central government is on a sticky wicket right now?
Well, you know, if you just rewind the political rhetoric to about 3.5 years back, and the run up to the Lok Sabha elections, there was one catchy slogan that Narendra Modi came up with at that point of time. He said the UPA government was a government where both the Kisan as well as the soldiers were killing. He coined the slogan, Mar Jawan, Mar Kisan. He promised to change that. But you know, if you look at the last 3 years, what is striking is that, you know, that this, while the rhetoric is still on the high, I mean, there's a lot of programs which are being announced and seemingly implemented, but these are all essentially very cosmetic. I don't think that there is any fundamental policy shift that has happened. Fundamental implementation regime has not changed, as Mr. Chaudhary very rightly pointed out. See, this whole structure continues to be middleman driven. A structure continues to be something which, you know, even if you have statistical figures which show that agriculture is improving, it is developing, but it doesn't, the net result does not cater down to the farmer. So basically, I don't think that there is any fundamental shift that has happened. And if you look at the agriculture and corporate relationship across the world, whenever in developing countries, you would see that when there is a greater emphasis on promoting this corporate structure and corporate interests in economy, you will see that that there is a tendency to keep food prices, agricultural prices low. This is a phenomenon that you see across developing countries, and I think it's very stark here as well. So unless and until there is a concerted effort, there is a concerted move and a structured planned move to kind of get over this situation, I don't think that the situation would improve. We will hear the repetition of this Mar Jawan, Marquesan slogan in different ways. I mean, different parties may come to power, but unless and until this fundamental shift takes place, you won't see any improvement in the core situation of the farmers.
Fair enough. Professor Srivastava, as far as the farmers are concerned, the farmers have been demanding, complete farm loan waiver. That's happened in UP as well. When Yogi Adityanath became the chief minister, that's what he came and did first. The first thing that he did was, waived off farm loans. Now, the farmers in Madhya Pradesh and the farmers in Maharashtra too are demanding the same. As an economist, do you believe that this is a viable option?
This question of farm indebtedness has been studied very well in the context of the Vidarbha crisis earlier, context of the Andhra debt crisis, in the context of the Kerala debt crisis. In all these contexts, we know that loans from banks cover only a fraction of the farmers, somewhere between 30 to 50% of the farmers. Most of the loans are extended to farmers who are small, medium, large farmers, not to marginal farmers. The root of the crisis is that farmers have to rely on informal loans at very, very high interest rates. So basically, even if one deals with formal loans and the banking sector, that is not going to deal with the crux of the problem in any way. And we had excellent reports which have highlighted both the genesis of the problems and how to deal with it. The pity is that actually we have not taken. There has been so much rhetoric in the last 10 years, not just last few years, not just the last budget which talked about a pro-agricultural budget and doubling of incomes and so on, but over the last 10 to 15 years, there has been so much rhetoric in favor of agriculture, but very few concrete steps have been taken in either those distress areas or areas around. And I want to point out one fact to you, because I think that fact needs to be noted, that our debate so far has actually centered on crop agriculture. Non-crop agriculture and livestock agriculture constitutes about 30% of agriculture. In some states is actually 40 to 45%. And there have been extremely perceptive articles which have been written, for example, on the state of Maharashtra farmers and Maharashtra agriculture, which have pointed out that the ban on bovine trade has actually also increased the distress on Maharashtra farmers. So one has to look at, if one has to look at policies, one has to look at the role of bovine, the livestock economy, and how the livestock economy is linked to the wider processes of marketing and sale, input costs and so on, not just crop agriculture. The point which Mr. Chaudhary raised.
Yes, that's a very valid point that you're making. Professor Haq, do you want to add something to that? Because you're part of the government. When the government comes up with disruptive measures like this, where you ban bovine trade in open markets, it's bound to impact the entire country and agriculture on the whole. And I know I'm putting you in a spot. I know I'm putting you in a difficult situation. But I mean,
yes, but the point is, I think finally you will get some good policy from the government itself. That is what I can say, because everybody is seriously considering some of these aspects of the problem. But certainly what Professor Ravi Srivastava says, that we always say that from crop production to livestock or some other kind of diversification, sometimes diversification is a solution, sometimes it is not a solution. What has happened, most of the suicide cases, what is happening in India, particularly for farmers in anywhere for that matter, I should say, if they have shifted to commercial crops and they invest heavily on that, and the market does not support it because the prices crash or they don't get the expected kind of output or profit, and then the the moneylenders or even the banks, they try to humiliate them. So that is how things happen. In fact, you don't see so many cases of farmer suicides in Bihar. Bihar is one of the most backward regions. You don't see them in Jharkhand. You don't see them in Bengal.
Why is that so?
This is basically because they are still more or less a subsistence farming. and it is not so much of commercial farming or so high value crops is important, but at the same time, if you can ensure good prices and good market for them. In the case of fruits and vegetables, Krishnabir Chaudhary also was telling you that your post-harvest losses in the case of fruits and vegetables comes to about 40 to 42%. So 42% of whatever you produce gets wasted. This is one. And secondly, they don't get price. In the whole of Northeast, under horticulture mission, they went for fruits and vegetables. They did not get any market, so they are not able to sell their produce. So now they are in fact taking out those plants, and now they are going for some other traditional crops, subsistence crops. So what I am saying that before you go for that kind of transformation, your market should be perfect. And unfortunately, the concept of perfect market, Professor Ravi Srivastava will bear me out. This has been somehow, I don't know, we always talk of market and market. Market is never perfect. And the way market works, it is always for the powerful and the rich. It does not work for the poor. So I think there are things which we have to analyze and adopt policies which work better for our farmers, particularly the small and marginal farmers.
Fair enough. That's a very valid point that you
If I
raised
can
there.
just come in for a minute on this,
Professor.
you know, here
Quickly.
again, dairy farming in India shows us the way, because farmers groups, cooperatives, you know, they really transformed dairy farming in India over the last many years. Mr. Chaudhary gave the example of Amul, and this is what we need to do in order to bring scale economies and better bargaining power to farmers, instead of, as he rightly said, promoting corporate interests in farming.
Sure. Mr. Chaudhary, you know, as a farmer leader as well, do you believe that the protests now are going to intensify further because you're not getting the right kind of response from the people concerned, from the governments concerned?
Yes, it's accepted fact that before the farmer was start this movement, from government side there should be discussion should be there, but there was no discussion at all. Why they were waiting? It depends on the state government's behavior also. But Maharashtra Chief Minister, I can quote that he starts immediately talking with the farmer leader from Maharashtra, and he promised that farm loan waiver will be done by the government. I think Dr. Haq is looking the farm waiving scheme in the Punjab government also. And Punjab is the state where the farmers are under debt, too much debts there, 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 14 lakhs per farmer under debt in Punjab. But there is no movement in Punjab, no movement in Karnataka, no movement in Himachal, no movement in West Bengal. Movement starts only from those states. It's you accept or don't accept, but where the election is coming in 2018, just Gujarat, next Maharashtra, now Rajasthan, not in Uttar Pradesh.
There are elections in Karnataka also.
Elections in Karnataka also, but there is no movement at all because government is running by the Congress party itself. How they are planning, why they are making this whole farmer problem in a destructive way? All political parties should think about the constructive. They are involved. They are responsible.
So this is the Congress is doing. Are you saying this is the Congress is doing?
Congress is also equally responsible for farmers' present condition. They have ruined the farmer economic condition. Especially, they are the culprit who have made these policies. The farmer are the worst sufferer today. They are culprit. किस चेहरे से किसानों के बीच में उनकी वफादारी साबित करना चाहते हैं जाकर, मुझे वो शब्द शर्म आती है कहने में। आपने बर्बाद किया, आपने किसानों को जितना टेक्नोलॉजी के नाम पर, मैं डॉक्टर हक की बात से पूरी तरह सहमत हूं, आपने कारपोरेट के लिए बीज बिकवाने के लिए, इनपुट बिकवाने के लिए पूरा आपने टेक्नोलॉजी दिया, आपने सब कुछ दिया, वही किसान मरा, वही आत्महत्या की। बिहार आज भी सर्वाइव है, छत्तीसगढ़ ठीक है, झारखंड ठीक है, बुंदेलखंड तक की स्थिति जहां पानी भी नहीं है। आप इसको देखिए, जहां जहां कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा, जहां जहां टेक्नोलॉजी के नाम पर शुरू किया गया, वही आत्महत्या हुई है, क्योंकि कर्जे में वही दबा। उसको आपने कैश क्रॉप में डाइवर्ट किया, लेकिन लेकिन आपने कोई मार्केटिंग नहीं दी, आपने कोई पोस्ट हार्वेस्ट की टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए कोई काम नहीं किया,
ठीक है।
आपने कोई योजना नहीं की।
चौधरी जी, माफ कीजिए।
योजनाकारों ने कारपोरेट का माल बिकवाने के लिए किसानों को बलि का बकरा बना और किसानों को मारा, और आज भी सरकार बदलने के बाद वही लोग अपराधी हैं, वही लोग कारपोरेट
समय की कमी के कारण मैं आपको
मुझे बहुत दुख हो रहा
रोकना
है।
चाहता हूं। माफ कीजिए,
किसानों पे गोली चलेगी देश में, कहीं नहीं चलेगी,
रामकृष्णन,
वो सीधे हम पे चलती है, हमारे दिल पे पहुंचती है।
चौधरी जी माफ कीजिए, समय की बहुत कमी है हमारे पास। Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, you know, what's the way forward really? What do you see happening in the near future as far as the farmers'
किसान को
plight is
उसकी फसल
concerned?
का दाम मिलना चाहिए बाजार में।
जी, yes.
No, basically, I think we need to have a complete reorientation of this agricultural policy structure, and also the implementation schemes need to be kind of reoriented. And
So you're saying the schemes so far have not worked? We need,
No,
we
they've
need a
been
major
very-
overhaul.
No, they've been very cosmetic. See, for example, as Mr. Chaudhary pointed out, at the time of politicking, everybody tries to kind of point fingers at the existing policy structure and try to kind of present themselves as the people who will create these alternatives. But when it actually comes to practice, like for example, completely counterproductive measures like this ban on bovine trade. For example, the National Dairy Development Board's study itself shows that nearly 50% of the net profit in the dairy sector is by the selling of these cattle. So if you kind of bring restrictions on that, then how are you going to kind of look at this whole sector in a comprehensive manner? So what is required is, politicking should be kept aside, but then you can't just point fingers. When you were in opposition, you made use of politicking opportunities on this. So you can't say that that now that we are in power, the others should not make use of that politicking opportunity. But then beyond that, I think the political class as well as the academicians and agricultural theorists need to sit together and look at concrete, comprehensive plans to
comprehensive plan. Those are the keywords that I'm going to take out from what you just said. Yes, Professor Haq, your quick concluding remarks.
Quickly, I think the government, whatever is trying for the last 2-3 years, at least in terms of policy changes, I think this is quite substantial, I should say, changes from the past. 2-3 things I will tell you, because
yes, very quickly.
very quickly. One is the market, like 508 markets next year itself will be fully integrated in terms of INAM, like where farmers will have access, online access in fact for marketing and getting a good price. This is one which was not there before. Second thing is, even this Fasal Bima Yojana is a drastically different scheme as compared to what it was before in terms of, and most of the states other than Tamil Nadu and Punjab, as I said, most states have gone for it, and you will see the impact. These things take time, infrastructure wise, the way things are progressing, those things will make some impact. But the point is, overnight you cannot create additional 15 million tons capacity of cold storage.
The government
and all
is doing everything it can. There are some new changes that the government has come about. Just give it time and we'll see we'll see dividends is what you're saying. On that note, we'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Ravi Srivastava, Krishan B. Chaudhary, Tajamul Haq and Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's all the time we have. See you again next time.